So here we are. Sorry I'm a little late. This is our Design 350 lab for Monday the 20th. And our lab today, you're actually going to do some survey together. You'll each set up your station. See, I'm behind on my calendars. My apologies, and I'll get this one fixed up too by tomorrow. But you're gonna work together. You'll each set up your station, and then you're gonna take a number of points. One of them is going to be your known point that you'll see from the Jamboard. Okay, which is how you're gonna know what the height of your level is, your site. You're gonna do what's called a back site, and you're gonna go back to a known point and read it. And then you're going to take your other three measurements. You'll get the azimuth angle, you'll get the distance, and now you'll read the elevation too. And then I want you guys to each take a set of points. One of you will be on the rod while one takes a set, and then you'll switch. So you'll go back to your station, and the other person will be on the rod. They'll take their set. And by the end of the week, and then you'll post it. And by the end of the week, you'll all be able to draw them and then fully rectify them onto each other and really see how far off people are. Okay? Yeah, you each set up a station, um, and there will be some differences, right? You won't be both perfectly level the same. You'll take some minor differences in all your readings. That's normal. We get it. But they should be, like I've said, if you're within 6 inches of each other, that's good. Which is zero point 0.5 feet, and you guys were doing really good. You were like within zero point 0.1 or zero point 0.3 feet. So you've been doing really well. And so we'll go out there and I'll show you where you're going to take your stuff and what you're going to do. And I do have some things prepped for you. If you go into the playlist, you'll see that there are two of them in there. There's how to take elevation readings and how to read a rod. So I'm going to go over those just really quickly, but I'm going to do that in the Jamboard instead. So, because that's where I took it from, and then you can go back and watch the readings. So basically, this is what happens, right? You've got a site, and you've got a rod, and you place it on the ground, and you read the rod reading, and of course, you measure the azimuth angle, you measure the distance, and that rod reading tells you how far it is from your line of sight down to the ground. So that's kind of like the elevation, but you have to know how high your line of sight is, right? Your line of sight minus your rod reading is the elevation. So then the next trick is to look at a known rod reading that you do know the height. So that's where you go back to some known base elevation. Okay, there's the base elevation, and you put your rod there, and you read your site elevation. Okay, so that's really it. you look backwards. That's why they call it a back sight to some known point. Now we're going to pretend that we know exactly the elevation of the far corner of the science room over there. And we're going to call that 0. And that's really typical of an architectural site. They say this rock or this corner of the street or this fire hydrant, that's 0. And we're always going to count from there. And they call that project 0. And that's in Revit level 0, right? Because that's okay. And you don't really care what elevation it's at. We know that the corner of that building over there is probably, you know, 52 feet above sea level. Who cares? There's no sea around here. We want to know when we build our new building how high it is compared to that. Okay, so we're just going to stick our rod over there and get a reading, and that's going to tell us how high our site is all the time. And then wherever we put the rod, we'll just subtract that reading from that same height every time, and that's the elevation of the ground there. Okay? So that's what you're going to do. You're going to take your known back site and just get it. And I'm going to do a demo tomorrow of how you get those readings onto a survey record. For now, you just do what you've been doing. You're taking pictures, you're recording which ones go together. And in the past, you've had two pictures, right? You've had the distance picture and what you're seeing in the azimuth, right? Now you're going to add one more picture, what you're seeing as the rod. So you can have 3 pictures for each one. You'll load them into a discussion, which I'll load up. And then tomorrow, I'll show you how to put those on a survey record during the lecture. Okay, because then we've got something I can lecture with. So you guys are giving me my lecture material. Cool? I should pay you for the lecture, but I'm not going to. That's not allowed. No. Okay, do you have any questions on that? Okay, the trick now is the rods aren't all set up. We're just going to use one rod. You're each going to set up your station so you have your practice at that. And then one of you will stand there with the rod, and you'll see that when you're looking through there, you can't always see. Like if I go to the last one, that's maybe what you're going to see, right? And maybe you'll see this number, that's how many feet, and maybe you won't. You don't always know. So you have to ask your person on the rod, hey, how many feet is it? And they'll tell you, and you'll move your hand up and go, okay, there, that's where I'm seeing it. And there's actually a little thing that you can move up and down, but usually we use a pointer or your finger, and that's good enough. And they'll go, oh, it's 4 feet and 6.3, whatever you read, right? So you may need help getting the foot reading, which is right there. And then you read the tenths of a foot, so that would be 4.1, 0.12, 0.14, 0.15. 4.15 feet. Ooh, man. Get your picture. We'll work on it, right? Get your picture, but you may have to just get some help with what the foot is. You don't always, like this one's all rubbed out. It's like, I just happen to know that's a 4, you know, because I can see some better ones up and down. Okay, does that make sense? Cool. And then here's some more about it, right? So, and you'll see it in the video. I'm talking about all this stuff, but really you need to understand this first one. How do you get the height of your site? You look backwards to a known point. That's called your back site. How do you get the elevation? You look forward and backward and forward, what the heck? I mean, we're on a circle. So this is kind of weird. It's not really that way, but you'll get it. Cool. Okay, any questions about that? When we're out there, right? Okay, there we go. So go ahead and